I started doing a new service and I wanted to have a specific calendar just for people who are purchasing that one service.
You could be the best coach in the world, but starting a business is a completely different skill.
But I knew that I wanted to give myself a chance, and I knew that I felt like what I was doing was important.
It's my favorite thing ever. So I feel like I never work a day in my life.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show. You're watching the very first episode of How I Work Live, and the fact that you're here right now or tuning in on demand means a lot. So here's the deal with the show. If you run your own business or keep a lot of plates spinning, you already know what that looks and feels like. You're booking the clients, you're doing the work, sending the invoices, updating the website, answering the emails, and somewhere in there, trying to figure out if you're doing any of it right. You wear a lot of hats. Some of them fit great, and some of them you maybe had to grab in a panic and never took off. So this show is for you. Every episode, we're sitting down with a business baddie who gets it and asking them one question. How do you actually work? The real version, the tools, the boundaries, the things they stopped tolerating, the lessons they learned the hard way. And because we respect your time, we are a Calendly after all, we're keeping it to 30 minutes or less. Well, we'll try. We do love to talk. But with that, I am so excited for our first guest today. Pua Pakele is a brand strategist, a digital designer, and the founder of RBL Media out of Hawaii. Yes, you heard that right. She's joining us from Hawaii. She's spent the last decade helping entrepreneurs build brands that convert in addition to looking great. She even has her own podcast. She sits on many boards. She finds time to be active. She does hula. And get this, she says she can build you a website in 24 hours. So talk about many hats, and therefore we have to get into it. Pua, welcome to the show, and thank you so much for being our first guest.
Thank you, Greg. I'm so excited to be here.
Of course. Our first guest, how's that feel?
It feels like a lot of pressure, but I'm excited.
We have fun here. Well, and with that, I do have so many questions for you, but we like to kick things off a little differently on how I work. So we're actually going to jump into a segment that we are calling Picking Favorites. So what this is, we want to get to know you a little bit more before we get to know how you work. So I'm going to give you some lightning questions, and without overthinking too much, you'll go with your gut reaction. With that, do you think and feel ready?
Absolutely.
All right. First off, what is your favorite sandwich?
Anything with spicy pickles. They have to be spicy.
Spicy pickles. I'm a big pickle fan, like dill pizza. Spicy pickles, I got to check that out.
Absolutely. If not, jalapenos and pickles. I know.
After my own heart, I love anything with a little heat, right?
Exactly.
What are your favorite? Okay, next one. What are your favorite shoes that you own?
Ooh, my favorite shoes actually is no shoes at all.
Oh, okay. Say more. Say more.
I just prefer being barefoot, and I always have ever since I was a kid. In high school, our disciplinary system was demerits, and I always got them for running around barefoot. So I don't know. I just prefer no shoes.
I love that. I feel like that's great. I was very unexpected. Amazing. I'm learning so much about you already. All right. How about what is your favorite TV show?
Friends, hands down. And I know there's two camps, but like that show raised me. I graduated the same year that show ended. So now you know how old I am, but also like it's so funny too. Like Friends, when I was in high school and middle school, I saw it as this like group of like older, super cool people living life. And as you'd rewatch it, sort of as I grew up, quote unquote, there were like different parts that I'd notice and different things that I'd resonate with. And it's just, I think it's so classic. I love it.
Amazing. I'm a Friends fan. I do the clap every time during the episode. What friend character are you most like, do you think?
Oh, Monica.
Oh,
I almost hate
yes.
to admit it, but my OCD, man.
Amazing. I mean, yes, I get that. I love a Monica Phoebe type combo, maybe a little cookie
Yep, I
sometimes,
see that.
too. Yes. All right. Well, thank you so much for indulging me on our first ever picking favorites. And now I kind of, well, now that we know you can get anywhere quicker because you won't have shoes on, I want to get into your business and your journey a little bit more. And so let's talk shop, if you will. I want to know first, like, how did you get into this line of work?
Hmm. It was almost an accident. So when I was a kid and even through like college, I was an artist. I almost majored in fine art, and then I thought, I should select something that I can go into some kind of a workforce. And looking back, I do wish that I had stayed on the art track, but there was always sort of that pull towards creativity and visual storytelling, but I also really loved tech. And any job that I ever had, I was always kind of the girl that was like, "Hey, I know that you have to like call your webmaster to get this changed, but I can actually change it real quick if you want me to." So there was always this uh, geeky desire to just like go into the back end of websites and figure things out. And so even while I was still figuring out my career, those were things that were sort of moving in the back of my mind. And in 2014, I was actually working at a gym and I was teaching fitness classes. And I had a fellow coach, and she and I would just talk about all sorts of stuff. We'd geek out on like tech hacks and apps and platforms and productivity hacks. And so we started a podcast together, and that podcast
Awesome.
became, I know, right? It's so funny because we were like, this podcast it's going to make us so much money. We're going to have all these sponsors. And that was like the first dream. It didn't, but it did help us to create a really beautiful business that was sort of half business coaching and half web design and web development. So the clients that we would coach, we'd also be able to develop and design the marketing materials and their digital ecosystem. So that was my first exposure to this kind of work in a professional setting, and also my first exposure to entrepreneurship, which was a lot of guessing and checking and falling and climbing and the whole thing. So
Well,
we
kind
just
of sounds
oh yeah.
perfect too. It kind of sounds perfect because you say you loved art, you almost went down that track. I kind of see websites as almost a canvas, and you're kind of helping businesses like create their canvas. And so I actually feel like it's exactly where you're meant to be based on kind of what you've shared already.
Thank you.
So,
Yeah,
way to
it's
go.
totally artwork.
I wanted, like, so working for yourself, like, was there a specific moment in time when you knew, like, I want to do this on my own, start something fully me, kind of talk to us and those tuning in, what that looked like?
Yeah. Well, the first business that we had, we dissolved in 2020 during COVID, and I actually went back into the workforce. And I was like, you know what? Entrepreneurship it was a hustle. Like I would love a paycheck for a little while. And I did not even last a year. I was like, I'm not built for this. I am very I like to sort of do things my way, but more than that, like I love to experiment, and I feel like I'm always solving problems and like, is there a better way to do this? Is there a platform that does that? And so having your own business, that's a critical part of every day. And in some cases in the workforce, you're kind of limited to the platforms and the processes that have already been in place. So that change is a little bit slower to take effect. And there's many other reasons, but I ended up opening this business also by accident, because in 2020, when COVID shut down all the businesses, everybody needed to shift online and their online presence needed to be really strong and really streamlined. And so people would reach out and they'd say like, hey, Pooh, are you still doing websites? And I was like, yeah, I can help you. So I registered this business just to be able to help a couple friends. And it just kind of snowballed. And it was kind of like a right place, right time kind of a deal. So
I love
yeah.
that. I think that's so, every piece of every chapter kind of brings you to where you're at now. So I want to talk about RBL Media. So RBL, what is kind of the name mean? What is that? Let's dive into the name of RBL Media.
Yes, definitely. The fact that I couldn't stay in the workforce very long, it truly speaks to this. So RBL doesn't stand for anything really. It's rebel without the E's. And
I wondered if it was rebel.
yes, I mean, I have had just like really, I want to call them like innocent rebel tendencies. Like I'm not going to go light a car on fire. I'm not going to rob a bank, but I am going to go against the grain. And I don't want to be told what to do. I want to do my own thing. And I think many entrepreneurs are business owners because they share that same quality. And those are exactly the people that I want to attract to my business.
I think, well, and that's great too. And you like talked about art, and kind of in our like get to know you call, like you talked a lot about storytelling. Like how does like storytelling fit into all of this? Like your business, your like how you approach client work, like what does that look like for you? And what does storytelling mean to you?
Yeah. Storytelling is the foundation of what I do with RBL Media. It's like any marketing material must be rooted in storytelling because stories are what attract people to your business. It's what stories connect you as a human to other humans, and the service or the products is actually secondary. So for me, if I'm building a website or if I'm creating a brand, the story has to come first. And I spend a lot of time talking with our clients to truly understand their story and what's meaningful to them and why did they start this and what problem does this solve. And so in the realm of web design, I almost look at it as like a scrolling form of entertainment where it needs to kind of follow a storytelling arc the same way that any TV show or movie will, right? There's always the hook. There's that relationship building. You meet the main character and they're usually just kind of this average person. And then you kind of follow their journey as they build this confidence and they go off and they do the thing and you're like really happy for them. You kind of have to recreate that in a scroll experience or in a brand experience. So there is that component of it. And then there's also a cultural part of storytelling that's really important to me. As a native Hawaiian, Hawaiian language was completely an oral language until Western influence. And so like genealogy, traditions, stories, all of it was passed down through storytelling. And, through like visual storytelling, through chanting and dancing. And so that culturally feels like a very strong pull for me as well.
I think that's great. I mean, it's probably so real for so many founders where you really have put your entire self into it. Like Rebel is kind of a piece of your personality. Your culture plays into how you approach storytelling. And so I want to kind of, as I mentioned, like you're wearing a lot of hats. We've got a lot of people tuning in who are wearing hats too. And so I'm curious if we can now kind of like, let's look into that day-to-day workflow, like all of this coming together. Like sometimes that can be a lot and sometimes it's really exciting and sometimes there's anywhere in between. So I would love to know, what does your like actual day-to-day look like? Maybe there's a typical day, often there is not, but like walk us through that.
Yeah, I'd love a typical day. Actually, no, I think that'd be boring. It is, I do start my days really early. I mean, it's 6 a.m. right now and I'm firing on all cylinders. Talk to me again at 2 p.m. It's a different story. But I love to start my day. So I'm usually up between like 4 and 5 a.m. Sometimes I'll jump into like a morning CrossFit class, but many times because I work in Hawaii, but many of my clients are on the continent, I'm jumping into meetings pretty early. And that's meetings are the sort of bane of my existence, but also like the cornerstone of what I do, because that human connection is so important. And so that's sort of been like my day-to-day is shaped around meetings and deep work and creative time. And it just depends on the day. The balance of that sort of shifts from day to day.
I want to even zoom out a little bit more. I wonder, because of that, and I think your case is often probably very common with founders or small business owners. So does your week to week look any different than your day to day, if that makes sense? Like, how do you structure or think about weeks versus days?
That's a good question. I've recently shifted this quite drastically. And I will say, like, I'm going to tell you the ideal and sort of what I set up, and just know that it doesn't always pan out like this. But I have each day is structured and sort of themed, each day of the week. And every other week, I try to block off completely for that deep work. And that actually allows me to do the quote unquote 24-hour website builds that you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
The client experience is quite short, and it will feel like a 24-hour engagement. But on the back end, it does take me a few more days to actually build and create the site. And then we introduce it one day, sort of deliver it, get feedback, iterate on the feedback, and we do sort of a handoff and launch 24 hours later. So that's the secret.
I love it. Well, and I think that's so interesting, because I think when people, like, the typical day, you see those on TikTok, timestamps, but I think it's very interesting how you talk about structuring like almost your month or like a bi-weekly schedule. And I think that's smart, because you have to have the relationship building, which you enjoy, but is necessary for business. And then you also have to spend time for building. And so that makes a lot of sense. And I feel like that is a better way almost to think about it versus like on the day-to-day, because they can be so different.
Absolutely. Yeah.
What would you say, kind of like, speaking of like what keeps you going, what do you think is the most rewarding part of how you work now today?
I love, to me, like, I always tell my clients, I am just a mirror. And, the clearer you are, and the more vulnerable and the more authentic that you can be with me, to just share your story and share why your business is so meaningful to you, that allows me to create something that reflects what you expressed. And so many times when we jump on these reveal calls and the clients are in tears, and they're beautiful, happy tears, but they're like, I can't believe you're showing me what's been inside for so long that I wasn't able to express myself. And to me, like, for anybody out there to be able to have their story shared in a way that feels good, it feels aligned, it doesn't make them feel anxious, it doesn't make them feel nervous or ashamed. Like, I just, that's so meaningful to me, and it really keeps me connected to why I love to do this work.
Pua loves making people cry. No, I'm just kidding.
I know.
I'm just kidding.
It sounds terrible.
No, I get that too, because like that just shows like you're creating something that is so important to them and their business or whatever the website means to them. And so like that truly makes probably what you do and spend that time doing all worth it. So I actually do very much love that. Okay, so if you could go back in time and you were just starting out, what advice would you give Pua of that day?
This question means a lot to me, because I think about that Pua a lot. And there's part of me that wants to like sit down with her and like, let's go get some matcha, and I'm just going to lay this out for you. Like, here's all the things that you should not do. And here's what you should do instead. But I also want her to make the mistakes. And I almost don't want to tell her anything at all. I will tell her, don't quit your job just yet. I think that's like when we're first starting out, and I got all of the most wonderful advice from people who were business owners and, they'd figured it out and they'd made it work. And a lot of the advice that I followed, and this was also like podcasts and audiobooks and stuff that I listened to, it was like, burn the boats. And that's the best way to encourage yourself to find a way to make money. And, just take the leap of faith. And there is so much value in that. And I also think that there is a smart way to go about that. And having savings is a smart way to go about that. So that is a piece of advice that I think that I would definitely share with her.
I love that. I mean, I feel the same. A lot of the lessons learned get people where they are today. So I feel like you're approaching it just right. And hopefully past Pua appreciates future Pua.
I hope so.
All right. So I want to talk about like the things that help you during your day. So I want to talk about and I'm sure our audience is curious too, what are the 3 tools, only 3, that you absolutely could not live without?
Well, I just want everybody to know this is not paid. I am not sponsored. I would list Calendly at the top every time. And because you heard my scheduling woes, it really, like, I can block those work weeks out knowing that people aren't going to be scheduling. Now I'm a different issue. Like people, are you free on Wednesday? And I can say yes, and I'll put them in, and that's not Calendly's fault. But I mean, this program and this platform has truly shaped the way that I'm able to create and hold to my scheduling boundaries and create like a really aligned and branded and beautiful client experience in terms of scheduling. So thank you, Calendly and team.
Hashtag not sponsored, as she
not
said.
Sponsored, not planned.
All right, so we have Calendly in there.
There is one. I use an app called Shift. Have you heard of it?
No, I haven't. Tell me more.
So Shift is a kind of workspace segmentation platform. So it's an app, and it allows me to create different workspaces based on my different email accounts. So I have many, because I have, a couple of work accounts, a personal account, the boards and the places that I volunteer. So I'm able to kind of segment my workflow. And when I click into each account, I can have a set of apps within the Shift app that I can use for each specific workspace. So like for my business workspace, I've got Slack, I'm sharing more apps secretly. Oh my gosh.
That's okay.
I have the many apps that I use. So yeah, it's a good one.
I mean, I need to check that out. Like, we might have to drop a link in the comments about that, because that sounds very interesting. Okay, cool. Slack is kind of the bonus one. What's like your top 3rd one though?
Bonus. Okay. As a designer, I know how controversial this is going to be, but I use Canva every day.
Oh yeah.
Every day. And it's to me, like I like to, the GIF with
either I'm equal opportunist, GIF or GIF.
Thank you. Depends on my mood. The GIF of Michael Jackson where he's like eating the popcorn. So that's me in all of the like Canva versus Adobe threads and forums and Reddits, and gosh, people just have very strong opinions.
They do.
I will say, you are an artist independent of the tools that you use. But Canva just makes things so efficient. And like, I'm not going to use a template that everybody recognizes. I like to still build from scratch, but it just like for things like social or, like a thumbnail for YouTube, Canva just
100%.
Makes it so much faster. And I will use Adobe when I need to, but
I was just going to say, you're probably like very efficient. I self-taught in Adobe, but I feel like, especially for social, working in social, you just have to create things on the fly. And a tool like Canva, you don't have to use the templates. You can upload your brand standards, like all of those things. And I've actually been able to work with teams to create very high fidelity pieces out of Canva. So I'm here with you. Like, you know, I feel like a lot of people who are spending their time, you're doing it smart, watching the comments and then also doing the work. It's just a lot of energy lost.
I don't know about smart. I'm just entertained.
I mean, that's a smart thing too. You're taking breaks to scroll, which is important.
Yes, I agree.
All right. So this last question is in the spirit of love, marry, divorce, or some other versions that are not safe for work. It's called do, delegate, or delete. So I'm going to throw 3 business tasks at you, and you're going to tell me what you do, what you would delegate, and what you would delete. So each one only gets 1. So are you ready?
Ready.
Okay. Updating your website, bookkeeping tasks, and following up on emails.
Oh my gosh. Okay, updating my website. To be quite honest, as a website designer, delegate.
Makes total sense.
Does
Absolutely.
it?
Yes.
I mean, I love it. But also I'm like way too close to it, and like cobbler's kids. My website is the last to always to be updated. So
You're too close to it. So that makes sense. You know, you're
Yeah.
like, yes, that
Thank
makes
you.
sense. Okay, cool.
You're
So we're
so supportive.
delegating website. Amazing.
Bookkeeping. Oh my gosh. Can we delete? Just kidding. Delegate. Delegate. Following up on emails. Do. I'm not always the fastest, but I love to have like that personal connection means so much to me. And emails are something that I like. I'm exploring platforms on how to just organize that a little bit better because I don't want to miss communication from humans. And
100%.
like, yeah, it means a lot to me. So do.
I love that. Okay, cool. Hopefully that wasn't too painful because I'm going to take you right into another segment and we're calling it No Thank You. All right, so this one, I want you to think about something in your work life that you maybe used to tolerate, but you don't anymore. Or maybe it's just a pet peeve about your industry. Either way, it's something you're saying no thank you to, and you get to go on a rant for about like 30, 60 seconds, however much you need, and you let it all out. It could be a spicy take, a hot take, or whatever. So, Pua, what is your no thank you?
My no thank you is unlimited revisions. No thank you.
Oh,
But
say
okay,
more.
here's why. I think this is a pain point for a lot of people in the design space because we want the client to be so stoked. Like I want people to walk away saying, I love this. It works great. This feels aligned. It's branded. It's everything that I dreamed of. And sometimes it takes more than just a couple rounds of revisions to get there. And like I don't want to stop till they feel like that. But we've had projects go on for over a year because of that like cycle of revisions. I know it sounds crazy. So instead of like limiting revisions, like you only get 2, so use them wisely. I've changed the system and the process so that we can accommodate the sort of letting them have the time to simmer and test and really like just sleep on it, but holding our boundaries. And that's something that it's a work in progress, but I'm finding that if it's more of a collaborative process and we can do, calls instead of giving them just like the website and send us back your feedback, we can talk
Yes.
about it, so yeah, it's
Amazing. Do you feel lighter, hopefully? This is like a mini therapy session.
oh my gosh. Yeah, thank you. Same time next week.
Yes, exactly. We're here. We're here. We got you. All right. And I know we're wrapping up on time. I wish we could talk for years, honestly. This is great. But this is a question we like to end every episode with. So if you could have access to anyone's Calendly to book a meeting with them, whether they're living or not, who would you choose, Pua?
I would choose Marie Forleo.
Oh my gosh. Is that B Business?
B
She
School.
has like a business B School. Yes.
Yeah. She was a big influence when I first sort of jumped into the world of business. And I feel like she was like one of the OG kind of YouTubers. She had
Yes.
Marie TV. She has, she's also in the marketing space. She's kind of she's been in the e-learning space. Like she's the GOAT, I think, in this world. And I love her vibe, and I would just love to spend a few minutes with her and just pick her brain about her experiences.
Amazing. Marie, if you're watching, drop your Calendly link. We can get you and Pua connected. Like, let's make that happen.
I would die.
Oh my gosh. Thank you so much for being here, Pua. Seriously, I am so excited. But first, before we go, how can people stay in touch with you?
Yes. You can jump over to my website that I will be hiring somebody to update soon. Just kidding. rblmedia.co is my website, and I am on Instagram at rbl.media, and you can also find me on LinkedIn.
Amazing. Which I think this is great. I mean, I would say for our first episode, first guest, you're absolutely fabulous. I think we might have to have you back for another episode, maybe sometime soon.
That would be so fun. You are a phenomenal host, Greg. So thank you for making this so much fun.
Well, you are a phenomenal guest, and we will talk very soon, Pua. Bye.
Thank you.
All right. Wow. An exciting announcement, though, before we go. We have started something for all of you that wear mini hats, and it is actually called Mini Hats on Substack. And so we will be dropping the link in the comments for you to subscribe, and you can also scan the QR code on your screen. Every episode of How I Work will have a recap on mini hats with some of the stuff we didn't get to on air. So if you want a little extra, make sure you subscribe, and we'll have stories and advice from business owners like Pua who are doing the work every day. So if running your own business or working remotely sometimes feels like solitary work, Mini Hats is meant to be the opposite of that. So again, the link will be in the comments. You can scan the QR code on the screen, subscribe so you don't miss anything. And to everyone who tuned in, whether you caught the whole thing live or jumped in halfway through, or maybe you're watching on demand, we appreciate you being here, and we'll catch you next time on How I Work.